I didn't have a vision when I finished school, except for I had what David White, W-H-Y-T-E, the poet and writer, calls, I had the via negativa. The via negativa is where you have no clue what you want, but you're really clear on what you don't want. I think really when you respect the ecosystem, when you honor the ecosystem, when you live in harmony with nature, and nature's imperfect too, by the way, like you and me, then in a healthy ecosystem, when there's problems, the ecosystem can more effectively correct them on its own. In an unhealthy ecosystem, i.e. monocropping and farming, like you could get high yield for a short period of time, but it's super vulnerable to one tiny pest because, as somebody, I can't remember who said, like those 10,000 acres of corn, it's like fast food for the pest. It's like you just laid it out there and all they got to do is hit the right pest on the right crop, and they're not sensitive to that pesticide. They just gone.
You know, I'm seeing myself. I travel around the world as you do, and every now and then we get to share some of what we think with audiences that we don't get to see regularly.
Yep.
And I'm seeing myself already in an elevator where there's 5, 10, 15 people in one of these big buildings. And along the way, people get off on their individual floors to go do individual jobs. And always, and this is the naive, short California guy from a small town, but I think, my goodness, the diversity we have in this elevator right now, if we could just take 15 minutes and point at some issue that we would love to solve. Here's where I would love to go, and I know I'm watching the clock, so let's do a little bit of a cleanup here. The part of an essay you wrote that the team kind of pulled together on was this: be part of something great. And as you're talking about the industrial view, and we can look at all kinds of industries in that, but I think that's a denominator. When people are part of something great, when the vision is there, when the acknowledgement is there, when the product is there, when they believe in what they're doing and those pieces come together, that being part of something great, I'd only imagine that everything, I imagine good comes from that.
Yeah, absolutely, because you're in a healthy ecosystem. So, Peter Kestenbaum, who lives in Monterey, I'm going from memory, but says, leadership is going for greatness in everything we do. And I actually think mediocrity is exhausting. So the people who, and I mean, there's some things we choose, to your earlier point about choice, we choose not to engage in certain things. So I'm not saying we have to be great at everything, but if we're going to do something, it's more energizing to go after greatness. And the people who are not going after it feel like they don't have the energy to do what it would take to get there, but it's actually the other way around, which is they don't have the energy because they aren't trying to get there, because they gave up. And they gave up because of whatever, social pressure, they're afraid, they failed, and what your work, of course, is to help them get over those humps. The visioning is certainly one big piece of that. Again, when we're surrounded by health, it's a lot easier to be healthy. When you're surrounded by people who are failing, negative, disengaged, and apathetic, it's very hard. It's one flew over the cuckoo's nest. So if you're the only one who's trying to be healthy and everybody's overweight and doesn't feel good about themselves and is counting the years till they can retire, it's kind of like you can't just keep going in there with a stack of 8 books, go, man, I'm totally jazzed this week, because they're going to look at you like you're insane. So you might do it, but you're going to be in the closet about it, and you're not going to talk about it at work because people are going to look at you like you're nuts, or you're going to quit and go somewhere else. But in an unhealthy ecosystem, it's possible, but very rare to go for greatness.
How big is the smile on your face where one of the newer employees pulls you off to the side and says something like, I never knew this kind of a workplace existed?
No, it's great. That's the whole point. I mean, it's, and it's in the second book, there's a whole thing I wrote about the difference between bad work and good work, which was triggered by some stuff Wendell Berry had written. I don't know if you know his work, but so I think work has come to have a negative connotation. People have negative beliefs about work. They believe if you're successful, you won't have to work anymore. If you have to keep working, there's something kind of wrong with you, or you're kind of a loser. And then mostly they're focused on getting to retirement or the weekend or 5 o'clock or whatever. And I mean, it's like, so the new book is about beliefs, and I realize like negative beliefs lead to negative outcomes. Neutral beliefs don't do much, and positive beliefs lead to positive outcomes. So if you have negative beliefs about work, you don't have to be a genius to figure out it's going to be a bad experience.